Hey miners, Mining King here. Today we're going to be looking at an RTX 3090. So let's get right into it. Okay guys, so I have another one of Hawk's 3090s here. This is the MSI RTX 3090 Ventus. And he sent it to me because it's thermal throttling. So I just want to go test this in Hive, see what kind of temperatures we get, and see what we need to do for this GPU. So let's head over to Hive. Alright guys, so we're over here in Hive OS right now, and I do have Hawk's card in my little riserless motherboard here, and boy, it is not looking good for this little Ventus right now. It's been running for about an hour and 45 minutes, so it should be heat soaked plenty. We have a really high core of 56 Celsius, and we are thermal throttling on our memory. We're right here at the 110C mark, so we now have a good basis to see what kind of changes we can expect when we do repad this card. Now I have noticed that some 3090s will vary in wattage, some go down as low as 290. This one's a little bit more on the high side, 311. So why don't we get this turned off and let's get the card back over here at my studio. Let's start tearing it down. Let's repad this thing. So we have obviously seen that the temperatures on this card are not very good. It's about 56, 57C on the core, and it's 110 on the memory. So we definitely need to repad this card right here. So let's get into some of the things that you may need, or you will need if you're going to be doing this job. You will need a digital caliper. You will need some 91% or above isopropyl alcohol. You will need some thermal paste. You will need some kind of a cutting utility like utility knife or an X-Acto knife. You'll need some screwdrivers. Preferably I like to use iFixit. So I will leave links down below for all the tools I am using to do the thermal pad and paste replacement on this card. You will also need some Q-tips. You know, it's pretty generic. But you'll also need some thermal pads. So these pads are from GPUrisers.com, and today will be sponsored by GPUrisers.com. So I am recently been sponsored by GPU Risers. We're going to be using their thermal pads. I will leave an affiliate link down below if you guys want to use it. You guys don't have to pay anything extra for that affiliate link, as it won't cost you anything extra to you. It just gives a small kickback to me, the content creator. So let's go ahead and let's start cracking open this graphics card and seeing if we can't help these temperatures get a little bit lower. So the first thing that you're going to want to do when you're looking to take apart a graphics card is you're going to want to identify some of the fan like cables and stuff like that. So you can see we found two of them right here by my finger. It looks like these are, I see two wires into one plug, so that's probably for two fans, and then a single one for the end here. And this card does not have RGB. So this is the Ventus. It's kind of a lower end card. So, I mean, it's a 3090, so it's still expensive. But, so let's go ahead. So it looks like to get this back plate off, you will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws. You have 9 screws for the back plate to come off, as well as it does appear that there is one screw, this is the back side of the screw, and the front side of this screw is gonna be, it's really hard to see, it's actually inside, right inside there is a screw. I may have to disassemble the fan shroud, or at least I need to get the heatsink off first, because if I get the heatsink off, then I have access to this little plate. Then I'll have access down in here to this plate. So let's get the heatsink off first, and then we'll worry about the back plate. Alright guys, so we have the card apart. We don't need to disconnect these fans right here. Just be very careful of these. And then this is what his core looked like. I did start cleaning it a little bit, but so this is what his core looked like. Obviously there is quite a few bare spots on the core. So the pads actually look to be in somewhat pretty good condition. But we also need to get this piece off right here. So this way we could get to the back plate and change the pads on the back plate as well. So give me a few moments. Let me get this cleaned up. We will start measuring our pads, and I'll start giving you guys some pad sizes if you have this particular card. So let's get into it. So it looks like on the back plate here, you also have some heat pipes, which I think is pretty creative of MSI, which means that we definitely have to rechange these pads. Now, I did do some 3080 Ti's, but 3080 Ti's don't have chips on the back of the PCB like the 3090s do, right? So if you're not familiar with 3090s, they also have memory chips on the back plate as well. So we will have to change the back side of this card as well as the front side of the card. So why don't we work on the back side first, get that button back up. Let's get them measured, get them cleaned up. So let me clean it first, and then I will measure the thermal pads, and then that way we can replace them. Okay guys, so here on the main chips, right here is, I measured them with my digital caliper right here, and I came up with 2 mils. So 2 mils, 1.7 seemed like it was squishing it down a tiny bit. So I want to do 2 mils. I think this will really help out. So the main memory chips, as far as on the backside here, which go over all of these chips, I will have to measure these little strips here, but we are going to do the smaller strips first. So let's get this cracked open. We are using the GPUrisers.com pad scan. Once again, affiliate link down below. Won't cost you guys anything extra. It just helps support me, and I really appreciate it. All right, guys. So these little strips right here that were on the outer edges right here, these are actually 3.5 millimeters. So I'm actually going to have to do what's called stacking. Okay, to do stacking, we're going to use 2.5 and 1 millimeter, and we're going to double stack the thermal pads. So let's do that. So we had successfully repadded the backside. Let's get this assembled a little bit so that way we can flip the GPU over and continue to work on the front side of the GPU. All right, guys, so we're all done padding the front. There is a lot of pads. So this pad right here on the very front where my thumb is, this is 2 mils. This is 1.5 right here, right? The one that goes across the screws. 2 mils right behind it, 2 mils again, 2.25 for all the memory chips. Once again to 2 mil, 2 mil, 1.5, 2 mil. So those are all of our thermal pad sizes. Let's go ahead and get some thermal paste on here, and let's close the card up and see if it works. We're here over at my test bench here, and as you can see, we are at 58C on the core and 88 on the memory. I can push the card a little bit harder, but it's not my card, so I'm kind of doing reasonable overclocks, but I do believe this is a success. We only jumped up 1C on the core, but we dropped about 20C on the memory. So I would call this repad and repaste a success. So this is the Moneyking giving you the most hashes, and I'll see you next time.